Welcome to the Wellness in Asheville Podcast, where we shine a light on the people, practices, and places that make this city one of the most inspiring wellness communities in the country. I'm your host, Travis Richardson, founder of Be Well Asheville, your local news source for health, wellness, and community events.
All right, so in today's episode, we explore something ancient yet wildly relevant: foraging, cooking, and reconnecting with the natural world. While modern wellness often takes place in gyms and gadgets, many of the world's most healing traditions begin outside, with our feet on the earth and food cooked over fire. Lee, aka Natty, Trebotich, and his wife Meghan runs Food for Adventures, and I gotta say, I'm so impressed with this organization. Now, for me personally, I've always loved the idea that wellness doesn't have to be, the sterile thing that comes from a gym. Although I owned a gym, there's so many other ways to do this. It can be dirty, gritty, wild, and even chaotic at times. For instance, for me, I've always loved to call the outdoors my primary gym. I've been spotted throwing logs around, hefting boulders, doing pull-ups on tree limbs, and all manner of things in the woods. Yeah, I really actually do make people stare sometimes. But I really connected with Natty on this one, mostly because I grew up like how he teaches people. Whereas in this episode, you will hear how Natty teaches and cooks for people on their treks. My dad cooked for me on the riverbanks of Iowa. I grew up harvesting everything from fish to mushrooms, rabbit, squirrel, frog, and pretty much every other thing that is wild that you can think of. I don't do so much of this now, aside from harvesting mushrooms and certain herbs and flowers, but being in the woods and respecting animals and trees and nature has just been always part of my DNA. And that's exactly what you will hear in Natty when you hear him speak. And more now than ever, we need to reconnect with ourselves and each other. And there is just no better way to do this than in the woods, in my opinion. So grab your wild greens and a cast iron pan. This conversation with Natty is full of adventure and connection, and most importantly, flavor. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
So we've got Natty here with Food for Adventures, here to talk about all things food, foraging, and adventure. Welcome to the show, Natty.
Hey, man. Thank you for having me, man. I'm stoked to be on here.
Yeah, it's really fun. Out of all the folks I've got lined up, I was really excited. I'm excited for all of them, but I was really excited to talk to you because in our initial conversations, it's just you're doing such cool things. Some of the stuff I actually thought, when I was younger, I'd be like, man, I'd really like to have kind of lifestyle. Because you're like going on tour across the country, you're speaking at places, you're teaching people stuff. And right now you've got a summer camp that you're rocking out. And I know you're pretty busy with that. What's up with that summer camp you're doing?
Yeah, so we teamed up with a big old camp called Camp Greer that's out of Old Fort, North Carolina. And it's a sister camp right here in Fairview, just east of Asheville. And we host right now in July a 4-week outdoor camp for kids, which consists of not only outdoor culinary cooking, teaching kids how to cook from scratch and outdoors, but we also offer paddleboarding because we have a lake on site, beekeeping, and other array of classes like bike mechanics and stuff. But we're in the midst of that right now. We're in the 3rd week, looking to hopefully extend that into June, hopefully start next year. But yeah, we are in the heart of it. Monday through Thursday, it's free for all the local school kids, and they show up around 9:30 and 10. And for our class, culinary, we immerse them in homemade recipes, competitions. They present it in front of judges and stuff like that. And then they roll over and kind of actually help cook lunch for the camp that day and serve it and kind of go about the business. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. I think it's pretty much, like nowadays, getting kids out into nature in any capacity is an awesome win for any organization that's doing that. And the way that you're doing it sounds really interesting. Do they, what kind of things do they learn that are new to them?
Well, like I said, there is a variety of classes that we offer, and they rotate through them throughout the week. But as far as culinary goes, we offer them this hands-on experience. These kids are unplugged literally. We're kind of a remote camp, not too much phone service. There is Wi-Fi, in case of emergency reasons. But these kids have the phones down, and they're fully immersed. We're teaching them how to make beignets from scratch. We're teaching them, cookie challenges. We're doing tacos from tortillas from scratch and building, a complete taco. And And the overall goal is to not only unplug these kids away from the phone, get them to nature, kind of get them not only to work with one another, but also take this home with them. Because the most rewarding thing is when we have these kids' parents reach out to us and said, "Hey, our kid came home and cooked dinner for the family tonight," and it's just something that kind of just overall gets involved and immerses these kids in outdoors, whether it be culinary, beekeeping, paddleboarding, etc. It is middle school kids, so we it's seventh, eighth, and ninth, or sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth grade. But it's a pretty even split.
Is it?
I would say about 50-50 because we have a excuse me, different variety of schools like Asheville City schools, Buncombe County schools, and a lot of different schools that come in all in one. So you have kids that know each other, that went to school with each other. You have kids that never met. Maybe they've competed against one another in sports. But yeah, so it's a mix of different kids, but
Mm,
it's a pretty split ratio. If I had to
nice.
lean more towards, I'd say a little bit more females.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because I think like at that age, it can really feel hard sometimes to make friends. Kids are dealing with lots of probably, different emotions that come up around being that age. And so getting them out and getting them like amongst each other is probably a really healthy and healing thing for them to do.
Yeah, I was just saying, I remember middle school being a really weird and awkward time myself back in the day. And so it's really cool I was a kindergarten teacher for the longest. So it's really cool to work with this different variety of kids. And it's a new experience. And we've been doing this for about 3 years now. And it's going great.
Speaking of experience, you have like over 20 years in this. And I was on your website and I saw a picture of Nepal. Where have you been? Like, just give me a rundown on a little bit about you, like where this even started, how you got into it, because it's very unique.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could open that book and we could go down a rabbit hole. But yeah, I've traveled a lot around the world, a lot of different countries, doing a lot of different things. Food has definitely enhanced me or kind of motivated me to do a lot of traveling. I'm a mountaineer as well as I am cooking. So when I travel, I like to climb big mountains, get up in altitudes, hence Nepal. We go down to Mexico to climb a lot of volcanoes a lot. But traveled all around the world, but really love the U.S. We do, as you mentioned, like an annual cooking tour. And so what we do as a base of the company, which we'll touch on later, one of the things we do is travel across the country and international, not only teaching about outdoor education, but also cooking, outdoor culinary, and whether that's learning ourselves or teaching international as well. So,
Hmm. Very cool. So, as far as groups in and around Asheville, tell me the kind of groups that you work with, like who would benefit from having an experience with you. I know that, and I've seen you do like expeditionary kind of cooking stuff. So you go out, you could probably go on a backpacking hike, overnight, and you're cooking for a group. Like, tell me who comes on these trips with you.
man, it is a diverse clientele because, the amount of services we offer brings in, as mentioned, diverse clientele. And, whether it's doing the summer camp for some middle school kids or cooking different camps on Denali or going across seas with like Backpacker Magazine and doing different stuff. There's a variety that we do, especially with the education and cooking. I mean, we do multi-day bike packing for groups and bike along with them and cook with their groups. So there's a lot of hiking companies guiding companies that hire us to do multi-day trips where we just go along, cook with them. Same thing with mountaineering, river. We do a lot of paddling down rivers and do a lot of cooking for companies. Yeah, and that's just on the cooking side, but flip toward the education side, we do a lot of edible medicinal 101 hikes, where we take people out and kind of just talk about what's underneath our feet, all the way to, wild cocktail classes, forage to plate experiences, overnight kind of immerse classes where we take people out to remote cabins, forage, make full-on meals, make some awesome cocktails and kind of have the full-on experience tied in. And I could go down that, but as it shows on our website, we offer diverse services. So that offers a lot of diverse clients that come in from young to elderly as well.
Mm. Yeah, I could imagine like kind of what you do too is really good for team building and things like that. You ever have any groups coming in to do sort of team building?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We have a lot of people that do that as well. We've worked with a lot of companies that come in remotely to do that stuff, especially overnight trips. I'm actually getting hired to go to Wyoming to do some cooking and teaching for kind of like a seminar for investors that kind of like coming together doing some stuff. So yeah, we definitely have that amongst everything. It runs parallel with everything we do.
So I'm curious, was there any like rough patches along the way that you ran into, and like what did you do to kind of get through it? Just for any of the budding entrepreneurs out there that might be listening.
Yeah, it's you know, we're in it for about 4.5, 5 years now, and it was a grind. You got to put that commitment in for anybody doing whatever it's doing, whether it's something similar or totally different. And I wouldn't say a couple rough years. This is putting in some grinds. I would pick up maybe some secondary jobs to help fund. I never got a loan, never got a credit card for the company because I didn't really want that over my head in case something didn't work out. But I knew that we had a niche or niche, however you want to say it, that in a field that we've created. And I just wanted to hone on that. And it took about a year or two to kind of hone in. And not only that, maybe convince some people because what we do to a lot of people, especially in Western North Carolina, is great. But for some people, especially in the South, it may be some type of witchcraft going out there and foraging, making medicine, stuff like that. Believe it or not, there
Totally.
is people that believe that. So convincing people. I'm a 6'4", tatted up, dread-headed guy. So it's funny. Once people get around me, they're locked in. It's full focus, and we have a great time. But I would say not too many rough patches as far as just honing in, kind of dialing in on what we want to do. Because there's a lot of great companies out there that cook outdoors. There's a lot of great companies that teach outdoors. But we really just wanted to hone in on that specialty and that foraging, that making food with foraging, the making medicine, and then teaching people about it and stuff like that.
And you've got a lot of partnerships and sponsorships. I mean, this is obviously why you've got your 2025 tour, and you've got multiple places that you have already been to and are still going to. Lots of them in Colorado, of course. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about like connecting? Do they find you? Do you find them? Like, how do you get these partners? They're pretty cool partnerships.
Yeah, I've been working with outdoor companies for nearly a decade plus now, and I've been a VP of marketing for a company as well. And it's we just building these relationships. We work with some amazing companies like Nemo Equipment, excuse me, Eno Hammocks, local companies like Made by Mountains, and I could
Mm-hmm.
go on. And we just build these relationships, kind of a trust factor, kind of not only marketing, but kind of lines up what we're doing. I used to actually work with Eno and work with their marketing team and go around and do these tours. And, it's one of those, hey, maybe we can take a little bit off their plate and put it on ours since we're going to our annual cooking tour and show off some of their gear that we actually set up at base camp and at our camp kitchen and stuff like that, building relationships and using a lot of the gear that coincides with what we do, especially with outdoor education and the messages like a lot of these companies like Nemo Equipment put forward and stuff like that, especially behind the gear, the care, and the promise to the environment. So that runs right up there with us. So we work with these companies, and you check out our website. It's called the Season Partnership, and that's where a lot of different things with companies, whether it's sponsorships, modeling, a variety of things. And so, we go on an annual cooking tour where we leave from North Carolina, going off to Oregon, up to Maine, Vermont, and back around. And we hit up various events teaching like REIs, Overland Expos, or we go out to PCT days and feed about, 500 to 600 hikers. And so we go around doing a lot of private and public events. So.
What are you most excited for in 2025 to do?
Man, oof, that's a loaded question. I always look forward to going to PCT days out at Cascade Locks just because I have a lot of good friends out there. We've been doing it for 4 years now. We work with outside magazine, Backpacker Magazine, closely and do classes. And not only that, we also team up with like Triple Crown Coffee and feed a lot of through hikers free pancakes and stuff like that. So it's a good time, good excuse to get out to the West Coast and see some good people.
Where's the coolest place that you've been and why?
The coolest place, man, that's a loaded question. If we're talking continental 48s, lower 48s, all that, right now, just because you brought it up, Nepal was a great experience. Going over there, spending some time in the Himalayas, getting up to 19,000 feet, climbing, trekking, leading groups with one of my best friends, Stephen Reinhold. But other than that, I tell you, one of my favorite places though is going down south at Equator, whether you're going to Ecuador, Mexico, and climbing a lot of the volcanoes. I'm a big fan of that because the food down there is just it's unmatchable. It really is.
Yeah. One of my favorite places I've been to is Ecuador, because like some places on the planet have so many different geographic terrains within like close proximity of each other. At one point I'm in the Amazon. At another point, I'm in the Andes Mountains. There's Galapagos Islands nearby. And then like you've got like these really cool towns. They're just like got these awesome town squares, and it just reminds you of this very communal culture, there too. And of course, then you have a bunch of expats. So you got you got such a really cool mix. Yeah. I got to tell a story. So I was in, if you don't mind, this is pretty funny about how you don't know what you're getting, what you're getting into. You go to another culture, you don't know their customs and such. And so we were in Nepal, the Andes Mountains. We were in the Andes Mountains, not Nepal. And we were doing a custom of this particular mountain village that they would get together. And I don't know on exact what occasions they would do, but they would all bring out their sheets. It was like white sheets, tablecloths or something. And we lined them up in a row on the mountain. And then they would come and dump their food, their food offerings onto the cloths. And so it was like, imagine just like, 10, 15, 20 table sheets lined up all in the one row. They dump the food on there. And so then everybody goes up and just like kind of looks and sees what they want, picks at it, gets it onto their plate and goes to eat. And then there's like a kind of a hierarchical order where certain people are honored by being able to go up first and whatnot. But so we did. It was amazing. It was like an amazing display. We're just thinking, man, this is the coolest thing that they've honored us by being able to do this thing. Except
Oh man.
Except, brother, that our gut bacteria really wasn't up to snuff.
My God.
Let's just say that we couldn't handle what they threw down, man. It was rough.
Gosh.
It was rough for a few days.
Especially in a foreign country with a problem like that. It's a different situation.
Yeah. You ever have any experiences like that where you go into a different culture and you're like, wow, I didn't expect to, find this
Oh my God, yeah. It happens, especially if you're not too careful of the way the food's handled, pretty much. That's the biggest thing. You see some of these street vendors in some of these countries and the way they handle food and the way they serve it via just the hand and the palm. It's sketchy, but it's rolling the dice for sure.
I think some of it is just that the like I said, gut bacteria is different, and they're probably, and I think they leave their food out. They can leave their food out for where we would consider it spoiled. For them, it's just it's kimchi.
Yeah,
but
it's a different beast. Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, I was going to ask you. So, just about the quality of why somebody would want from this is a wellness podcast, and so why would somebody care to, other than it being interesting, to go off and find wild edibles, which it is. I mean, my dad took me mushroom hunting when I was a kid, and I love trying to find different varieties of safe mushrooms to forage for. But we're now finding that these things are so beneficial nutritionally, mushrooms and greens in particular. Like, why is that? Why are these wild edibles so much better for you in some ways than any food you can get at the grocery store?
Because it's pretty much simple, easy. There's no manipulation. They're growing wild. They have all these micronutrients, excuse me, and protein. All these, whether we're talking about plants, fruits, natural vegetables, whether it's food or medicine. A lot of the baselines of natural medicines that's over the counter, it comes from herbs and plants, mushrooms and stuff like that. So it eliminates a lot of the manipulation that you get and tampered with. A lot of the growing these days. It's a sad thing, especially when you drive across country, seeing a lot of the farming disappear. And a lot of the biogenetics and stuff like that that's taken place, and all the substitutes, and it's a scary thing. But that's one thing we teach, kind of like the basis is what we're getting from earth, all the nutrients. We talk about that through medicine, through food, and my wife is a RD, a registered dietitian, so she also offers this through our company as well. Whether you're gearing up for an expedition or just trying to gear up for day-to-day life, we offer like one-on-one consultations for like these wild foraging trips, not and also diets for athletes as well. So
Nice. I mean, because if anybody's doing any serious trekking, like nutrition is
correct,
a big deal, especially in the backcountry, knowing
correct,
what you need to do. One of the things I study is like longevity, and one of the things that they find, I think it was Dr. David Sinclair from Harvard University, and he talked about this idea of hormesis, where you've got these plants that are trying to survive. I mean, you think about a wild plant, like everything is massively competing, just trying to suck every nutrient away from it, so it gets nothing. And then think about like quinoa is a great example. It grows up high at altitude. It's not a lot of soil sometimes, rocky environment. And so it's just got to scrap to get like to make it in the world, pretty much.
yeah,
And basically, what I learned was that those plants, when you ingest them, the exact same mechanism that's helping it survive signals for you to survive, which I thought was really cool. We're eating the chemical signaling of the plant. We're actually benefiting from its survival mechanism. I just blew my mind. I'm like, this is
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, adaptogenic. A lot of things we talk about in our classes is like, a lot of people have seasonal allergies. Well, let's look at the plants that's growing, introduce this into your diet, and you will see just a dramatic change of, adapting to the seasons, adapting to these allergies. Now, I ain't saying to go out there and just inhale a big pile of pine pollen by any means, but I've put people on small amounts of pine pollen diet, whether through tea or capsules, and then it's actually beat the allergy, and they don't have it no more. So it's like introducing these small things that we kind of probably was shunned to or put away from, or probably didn't grow up around, that gives us these allergies. Just like you said, adaptogenic. It's ingesting these plants that's growing in the environment, dealing with these stressors, and we ingest those, and we learn how to deal with the stressors ourselves.
Love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautifully said, man. And I think it's very important. What sticking with this theme of sort of adapting, in the world today, we're trying to adapt to a modern culture that is just, literally like with AI and everything going on. I mean, we're not even, I wouldn't even say it's 100-year-old thing that we are adapting to. We are like the modernization that's happened in the last 50 years or so has been so crazy. So getting back to, I kind of like this idea of rewilding. I don't know if that's a term you use, but that to me is basically encompasses this idea of saying, hey, let's get back to nature and sort of like being more how we used to be. And so with what you guys do, if you were to sum up what somebody learns when they work with you, aside from, yeah, great, this plant is adaptogenic, these are all, of course, important. Like, what are you really teaching people?
Whether we're foraging, whether we're cooking together, we're learning how to survive together. We're all in this together, whether we go into apocalyptic downfall tomorrow or whether we just continue struggling with this freaking advancement of AI. We're all in this together. And so one of my goals is to, from the biology standpoint, is just teach people about these plants. I don't expect them to, learn these scientific names overnight. I encourage them. I give them resources to take home, to maybe buy, kind of advance their skills after they leave the course. I'm leave no trace educator, so we teach a lot of the people leave no trace properties here while we're outdoors, proper foraging techniques where you cannot forage, and then it kind of builds a ladder. Once we get these plants off, proper techniques, how to properly clean these plants, how to get them ready for ingestion, how to tell poisonous plants from non-poisonous plants, how to, and go on from there. And the overall goal is that, hey, look what we've made. We've made a full-on meal, full-on recipe that we can take in. We can communally eat because we put this together. We forged together, because usually our classes are usually anywhere from 6 to 8 people. So it's a communal thing. And overall, when people are eating, and I like this, and I'm trying to use it as a new slogan, it's like, there may be language barriers, but no matter what, when that food hits the table, we all speak the same language. We're all sitting there shaking our heads whether it's
Yeah.
good, and so it's a language barrier that gets broken when that food is set down at the
Yeah.
campground or on the table. And so that's the overall goal, is just bringing people together, learning stuff, but just letting them know we're all in this together, and let's learn some stuff while we're doing it.
That's cool. I think that's definitely a missing piece right now. And with AI, it's funny because as there's talk about all the problems that it can solve and all the things, medical problems, whatever you want, it will not solve isolation and the loneliness that a lot of us are feeling. And so I think remembering that there are having folks like you remind us of what we already know to be true, which is we need each other.
Correct.
And we so easily forget. So when we get in community with like going on trips with you and doing things like what you're promoting, we remember. And so thank you
Correct.
for that. Really appreciate
No,
that.
it's deep, and like I said, it's in a time where we definitely need to hear that. And like I said, whether we're foraging, or whatever, we're all going to need one another. And so that's the overall message. While we're doing it, we usually do a lot of good foraging and cooking and eating along the way.
Heck yeah, buddy. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. You talked about, when food's on the table, we speak the same language. And one of the other places I was at recently was Thailand. And I intentionally put myself in a spot where I didn't know. I was like, there ain't no tourists around. It's me and the Thai people. Like, I was in a place where, even they were like, why is this guy? This guy is not really where we normally see guys like that.
Yeah.
But it was cool because I intentionally did that. And I walked into this restaurant. There wasn't even a menu. Like, people just ordered verbally. There's no menu. It was just like a little shack with like some people cooking and stuff. And I recognized it as somewhere I could get some food. So I sat down. It ended up costing me like $1 for the meal. But I had to like sign language and point, and then other people were coming up to help me, and they're pointing at stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's good, do that one, and over here, and they're pointing up at the sign, and I'm like, I don't know that. And so, but we figured it out. And then once the meal came, there was also additional they brought out some additional herbs and spices and things like that. And a lady came over, this older woman came over, and she saw me just struggling. I'm like, God, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And slightly nervous about, should I even be, I don't know, is this place, should I even be here? But she comes in and she's like helping doctor it up. And anyways, I just tell that story because it reminds me of what you're saying, just how people come together, help each other out around survival, around food.
Yeah, and I want to tell a quick story, because when I was calming down in Pico de Orizaba down there with my good friend Stephen Ronhold, it's pretty much the same story. We're down there at Camp Oso, and it's just a base camp for a lot of different mountaineers, and there was a handful of people from around the world. I mean, London, you had people from Switzerland, Germany, just a lot of different people. The people in there were just full on, heart of Mexico. And so we're in this one room waiting for dinner, and people are trying to communicate with us. The language barrier is very strong. You have people over here speaking, German, you got Russian, you got just a handful of people in here, and we're all just climb mountain, we're kind of using terms where we understand and trying to communicate, and it's getting a little awkward. And then the ladies come out, and then the plates at the table, and then everybody just exhausted from climbing starts eating. And as we're eating, everybody's looking up, making eye contact. No words are said. We're all just shaking our head. And everybody's on the same page. It's like we're tired from climbing. This is great food. Like, it was just a great moment, and it stuck with me, and it still does. So
yeah, that's it, man. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. You can't really know somebody unless you have a meal with them. I used to think it was. I think it was. I used to be if you don't have you can't know somebody if you don't have a beer with them, which is maybe still true, but I would say a meal does it too.
I like it, man. That's awesome.
Well, you've got something coming up here, the Cooking, Camping, and Conversations tour. It's an annual tour. That looked really interesting. We kind of talked about that briefly. Can you tell me what's that tour about again?
Yeah, so pretty much sums up what the title is. We hit the road, and we go to a variety of stops, whether it's REIs across the country. We have a couple of overland expos and private events. And we line up with a couple of distilleries and breweries where we teach our wild cocktail classes. And so we do a lot of education and cooking across the U.S. And this is also where we bring on a lot of our sponsors. So on our vehicle, we have a lot of logos. We have different sponsorship packages, and we have a lot of sponsors, anywhere from 12 to 20 sometimes, that buy in and join our tour. And we go around and not only highlight what they've done for us, highlight their gear. We do giveaways, so we get the sponsors involved in a lot of variety of ways. But yeah, it's a cooking, camping, and conversation. We cook some food, talk about a lot of cool stuff, and yeah, and we're usually camping, so it's pretty much in the title. But we just hit a variety of places while we're on the road.
Do you have those places picked out yet, or are you still
we
working
have
on
no, we have a couple already. I mean, we have the tour. If you go on our website, you can actually see them. But off the top of my head, when we leave out August 1st, our first stop is the REI in Colorado Springs, and then we go to Snitch and Lady Distillery, which is in Fairplay, Colorado, where we're linking up with one of my good buddies and head bartender there, Kirby, and we're teaching a wild foraging cocktail class. We take people out foraging, and we bring back and do these wild cocktails, like a smoked aspen spin on a old fashioned and stuff like that. And then we're heading to PCT days. Then we have an Overland Expo in Colorado, and then we're doing a private Overland event in Wyoming. Then we kind of make our way to Northeast with a few more events concerning Overland. We hit up a few outfitters and just kind of do what we do: talk, educate, and talk about plants and sample food and everything.
Nice. I got to tell you, man, one of my favorite drinks I've had in my entire life. It just reminded me that I've had something I think kind of like what you're talking about, but it was in Mexico, and it was a mezcal, and it was a smoky mezcal, and it came out, and what it came with, I don't know if they had infused some kind of smoke into it or what, but it also came out smoking with some, I think it was sage or some green, some fern or something. And it was just this real like earthy, rich, smoky smell to it. I have never, and then the drink was amazing. So I definitely want to take your, I started to think about that one, to take your
wild cocktail class.
Yeah, wild cocktail class. That sounds fun.
If you ever make it to Western North Carolina in this area, or I mean, when you head back this way, I know you've been on the road. There's a place over in Waynesville, Maggie Valley, called the Swag, and it's a resort that sits up on the top of the mountains. But myself, I'm an expert resident there. I do a lot of teaching, foraging classes, and I team up with experts bartenders there who are amazing. And we've come up with a couple signature drinks there. And one of them is a smoked birch old fashioned, where we go forage wild birch, and we actually make a simple syrup with the birch, and we make it not only used for the cocktail, but then we make homemade cream sodas and stuff with it as well. And then we smoke the birch bark, and it's one of those, if you go there, definitely order the smoked birch old fashioned. It's something that it's definitely Appalachian, if I could say,
Sweet, man. I'll put that in the show notes, because I think that's going to be something people might want to take advantage of too.
Definitely. Yeah.
Cool, man. Awesome. So the other question I have here for you is, what's the best way for somebody in Asheville? Like, what's the most accessible way to kind of learn about what you do? Like, what's an intro class, or what's an intro kind of entry point into your world for somebody in Asheville?
Yeah. So we're based out of South Asheville. So it's easy to get a hold of us. We're always collaborating with a lot of different groups here. We're teaching a lot at the Asheville REI, but one of the best ways to kind of introduce yourself to food for adventures is taking one of our edible medicinal plant hikes. And we do it right here in Asheville at Collier Cove Nature Preserve, which is in South Asheville. It's a hidden gem on top of a mountain, and just loaded with a lot of awesome natives and invasives that we talk about. And we go through and talk about, hey, this is something you may pass over every day. This is something you can eat. This is something you can use for poison ivy, for medicine, headaches. And we kind of go over the basics and either spark interest or maybe scare people away. It's one of those where we've had people that have studied plants for years and still take the class, or we've had people that just really want to scratch the surface on studying plants and join that course. So that would be the most basic, and we work our ways up all the way to level 400 classes, and we certify people but yeah, so that's kind of the best way. Go on our website. We offer classes year round. We even do winter foraging classes, and forage to plate classes during the winter. So yeah, we're always available.
Well, it sounds like you and your partner are like the perfect team. Her with her RD and you with all your vast experience doing everything, and the multiple layers of what you offer people, I just think is awesome because it's definitely not a one-hit wonder. You're doing a lot, and it's pretty cool. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate everything you shared, and I look forward to meeting you in person and taking advantage of some of the things you're doing myself as well.
Yeah, man. No, thank you. I've enjoyed this, heard great things. I'm stoked to hear it when you put it out. But yeah, come join us anytime, and reach out to me via email or text, and come join us on a hike or one of our wild cocktail tasting classes. I guarantee you'll come leave hungry for more, as we say.
Well, I'm thinking maybe a group outing, with the organization I'm building. So I'd love to. I think that'd be an amazing bonding experience for like a core group of members. So we'll see what I can do to pull something together.
It'd be freaking awesome, Travis. I can't thank you enough for having me on your show and on your podcast, man.
All right, man. Well, take care. Good luck to you. Thanks for being on. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us on the Wellness in Asheville podcast, where we delved into the wild wisdom of foraging and outdoor cooking with our incredible guest, Natty Trebotich, whose passion for reconnecting us with nature through edible adventures truly inspired us all. Head over to foodforadventures.com and get ready to step outside, embrace the wild, and savor something fresh from the earth.
You can catch the next episode while on your way up to visit Mount Mitchell, or cruising down I-26, or on your way to catch a nice sunset view over at the Black Balsam Knob. You can check out more Asheville wellness news and events and join our newsletter at bewellasheville.com. Thank you for being the best part of our wellness community, and until next time, be well.